I would like to introduce you to our next fireside chat. Which I love that we are doing because it helps us revisit last year's Inclusivity Lounge theme, which was gender in sustainability. So I have the honor to welcome Bea Larègle. Welcome. Who is the Regional Managing Director for Visa in Southern Europe and brings with her over 25 years of experience in driving growth and transforming technology-enabled companies. So thank you, Bea, for being with us. I will take my seat next to you. Happy to be here with you and talk about issues of circular economy and sustainability is first that climate change is inextricably linked with health outcomes, and because it's also inextricably linked with diversity and inclusion and gender equity. So can you talk a little bit about how Visa's interest on the circular economy and sustainable commerce come up, and what's your why for, working on those topics?
Thank you, Stella. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to this chat, and I also want to congratulate Women on Top for putting this very specific subject, but also very important subject into this very important forum. And I think it is very important to highlight the role of that women can play in making sure that we can have a more sustainable future, and that we can really put the sharing economy and the circular economy into the mainstream. So why Visa is very interested in this subject, and why do we think that we have a big role to play? So first of all, we believe that a thriving economy requires a healthy planet and a sustainable planet. So it is very important for us, but also for any other company, that we have a sustainable planet. And then we know that making sustainable choices may lead to people having to change their behaviors. And I think as an organization we have the opportunity, but also the means and the tools to make those choices more accessible and also more understood by a number of stakeholders. So I think we have a key role to play. I'm very excited to work for Visa. It's a company that is extremely committed to sustainability. First of all, we have committed to being net zero by 2040, but also we really work day in, day out to making sure that we can provide easier access to those choices that are more sustainable.
I love that you mentioned the issue of access, because through our research about the actions women tend to take to improve sustainable outcomes, access and ease and cost, of course, come first. I mean, we are most likely to choose the actions that support our cost-saving efforts and are accessible to us, instead of those which require much more effort and cost on our part.
Absolutely. And this is actually a very interesting point, because maybe in the past consumers have thought that adopting sustainable behaviors could actually mean increasing in costs, but actually it couldn't be further from the truth. If you take into consideration new business models like re-commerce, what we call re-commerce, which is basically reverse commerce, instead of buying, renting, or refilling and redistributing. Those type of behaviors, those type of activities can actually lead to cost savings. And it is estimated more or less that a typical household, if they were really taking into account those type of business model, and if they were buying using re-commerce, then they could have purchasing power increased by about $3,000. So it is actually something that can contribute to significant cost savings. And also this type of business models, regenerative business model, can really create significant business opportunities, but also economic opportunities. It is estimated that those type of business model can create up to 900 billion additional in economic opportunities by 2030. So it's very, very significant.
Wow.
And as you say, education and awareness is very important, and making those choices even more accessible is something that we believe is tremendously important.
Yeah. Can you demystify those concepts for us? I mean, what's the link between circular economy and sustainable commerce? Mm-hmm. What's the difference? What's the link between them?
Yeah, so first of all, if you think of the linear economy, which is basically the economy that we've known, for the last many years, this is responsible for about 50% of global emissions worldwide nowadays. So clearly there is something that we need to do about this, and we need to really bring this economy into becoming more circular. So there's great opportunities there. Our current economy is only 7.2% circular. So, we don't start from nothing. So there is already something, but there is a lot more that we can do. And actually, if we take this market into account, it looks like Greek consumers are less using re-commerce activities than the rest of Europe. But at the same time, they also believe 80% of Greek consumers actually think that private companies like Visa, that we can actually play a very important role in making sure that we can give them access to sustainable behavior. So we think that this is very important as well. And that's why we're taking this very seriously in our commitment to developing the sustainable economy and the sharing economy.
Yeah, so what are the trends that you see in that space, not just for Greece, but worldwide? Yeah. So first of all, we did extensive research into re-commerce and into this aspect. And what is very interesting is that actually there's already 80% of European consumers that are already involved in some shape or form in re-commerce activities, which, when I read this, I was quite surprised. 87% is quite high. But when they do get involved in those type of activities, first of all, they may not be fully aware, but also it's not something that they do on a daily basis. Can you provide an example if you have it?
Yeah, so it could be like using a refill cup, a used cup when you go to a coffee shop, for instance. Instead of asking for a coffee and they give you a new cup, you bring your old cup that you and then you potentially can get a saving, because also, so that's why we not only it's sustainable, it's re-commerce, but also you can make a saving. We recently partnered with a company called Grover, who's actually an organization that is renting recycled or refurbished technical equipment, like a computer or like a telephone or like a camera. So those type of examples are very very interesting. Or there's a company that's called Rent the Runway, for instance, where you can go and buy and rent your wardrobe instead of buying it, so that you can first of all you can change it more often, which is great, and then you don't have to buy a new clothing. So it's those type of activities. So first of all, a lot of consumers are already engaged in those type of activities, but not on a regular basis, and therefore there's a lot of opportunities for them to do it more often and for it to become a much more embedded behavior. And also, when we did some research into, as part of the same survey or research that we undertook into the sharing economy, we found out that many small businesses are actually quite willing to explore those type of new business models and embed them into their own businesses. But at the same time, they don't necessarily know how to go about it, and therefore it is very important that we really place a lot of emphasis on education and awareness, and provide the tools and services and education to enable the different stakeholders to play their part in making sure that we can bring the sustainable, the sharing economy into the mainstream.
I found the examples you shared very interesting, because we were talking at the previous panel about unpaid care, which is mostly done by women.
Yep.
And most of the examples you shared come from the unpaid care sector, area of our lives. At the same time, through our research, we found that 40% of women in Greece feel that they are not included in any kind of environmental decision-making. So how can we, if this is true or not, what's your take on that? And what we can do about that, either changing the reality of this decision-making or changing the perception that they are not decision-makers on that space.
Yep. So it's a very interesting question, and it's actually something that we really need to work on, because interestingly as well, women, and that's something that the OECD has researched, and there are some key findings there, that women are actually affected even more than men when it comes to the negative effect of the linear economy. So when it comes to waste generation or pollution or climate change, as it happens, women are more negatively impacted than the rest of the population. At the same time, women are also the part of society who have more affinity with sustainable choices and who are much more conscious about climate change. So I think that if we empower women, if we educate them, and if we provide them with the awareness and the tools to promote the circular economy, I think they can really act as a key agent for change and be a driving force for moving the economy from the linear economy into the circular economy. So I think it's a very important point.
Do you have any tips about inspirational women who work on the field of sustainability we should, research or follow or get inspired by?
So for sure, the first one that comes to mind is Ellen MacArthur. So a very inspirational lady. She created a foundation a few years back called the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and it is one of the foundations, or one of the foundations that are the most active in really promoting the circular economy. She's ensuring that people are getting the awareness, but also she's quite influential in really working on policy making with some of the governments and some of the key institutional stakeholders. So a very inspirational lady, and I'm actually pleased to say that Visa, we have partnered with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. We've become the strategic payment partner of the foundation so that we can help the foundation in creating the awareness of free commerce, for instance, but also so that we can provide the tools and the and the solutions so that consumers and companies can get more involved into the sustainable and sharing economy.
So it struck me that you mentioned a woman from the non-profit sector. What about the for-profit sector? I mean, what can companies such as Visa and women within those companies do to promote and advance regenerative commerce and sustainability?
So I think, so Visa in the payment, so we obviously operate in the payment industry. There's a lot of things we can do. So starting with creating awareness, as I mentioned, but also providing the tools. But also, if you think of what Visa does, and we were created about 60 years ago, and ever since our inception, our job has been to make commerce more secure and to make digital channels more trustworthy for people. So obviously, for the sharing economy to become successful and to become very much mainstream, people need to trust it and need to feel that if they engage with it, there's going to be a secure platform. And that's really where companies like Visa, because of the role we play in the economy, we can definitely play a very specific role. And also, as an organization, we develop solutions. We partner with some companies who have innovative products and services. So we launched last year a program of products which is called the Eco Benefit Bundle, whereby we not only provide awareness and tools so that people understand what sustainable behaviors can be, but also through our partner called Ecolytic, we are providing a real-time carbon footprint calculator to consumers so that they can see when they use their Visa card what is the carbon footprint of the transaction. And not only that, so they can see what the carbon footprint can be, but also we give them the possibility to offset such carbon footprint through a number of items like donations, for instance, to a charity that is involved in the environment. So lots of things that we can do, and I'm fortunate to have a team of people who are very passionate about this. So we do our own bit as well as a team to create this awareness and to really make sure that we our clients are providing those type of solutions to their own consumers.
Yeah, great. So I have one last question on a buzzword, hot word, ESG. So we know that ESG focuses on sustainable commerce, and we also know that it focuses on social responsibility and governance ethics. How can we work towards the balance of these three goals? What's the future that you see companies investing in trying to achieve all those three at the same time?
So I think maybe, in many companies, I think it is true that there's probably been a more focus on the E rather than the other aspect, on the environment. But at the same time, everything is intrinsically linked, yeah? So if you have an unhealthy planet, then obviously you are going to have problems on the society, on the S and on the G. So I think there's a lot of things that we need to do as organizations. So as Visa, we really look at ESG in the broad sense, and not only sustainability, but also inclusion and diversity. I think you have a panel later on where some of my colleagues are going to talk about some of the things that we are doing. But we really are focusing on, first of all, on making sure that we focus on inclusion and diversity, that we have a workforce that is representative of the society where we operate. So we have lots of programs to bring in female talent. My team in Southern Europe is made of more than 50% of women, and my leadership team, including Sevi, who's here on the first row, is actually, my leadership team is 50% made of women. So that's something internally that we do, but externally we also are doing a lot of things. We are fostering women entrepreneurship and many other aspects. We also place a lot of focus on education. We really think that education is a game changer when it comes to equity. So we have launched a number of very beautiful programs. I have to say that we are, I am working for Visa. I'm extremely proud to work for a company that has developed those type of programs. In the US, we have a Black Scholars program, which is to ensure that we can have more Black people coming into the organizations, etc., and benefit from the same opportunities as others. In Europe and in my region, we have launched a number of scholarship programs that are very much targeting the kids or the students from disadvantaged socioeconomic background. So kids that have stellar academic results, but because of their background, they may have to stop their studies and they may not therefore be able to continue. So not only we are providing them with the necessary funds to continue their studies, but also importantly because we are providing them with access to mentoring and also to networking capabilities, because you may be a great student, etc., but if you don't have the contacts, if you don't have the links to the companies, maybe you cannot find an internship, maybe you cannot find your first job. So we really are providing them with the right tools and resources, if you will, to hopefully have the same opportunities or similar opportunities than other people. So that are the types of areas that we're working at, and that's clearly the kind of things that make us very excited to work for a company like Visa. There's many other aspects that we work on when it comes to diversity and inclusion, but yeah, so that's a key aspect, and everything that we do in our day-to-day life at Visa, we really are a very purpose-led company. Our purpose is to ensure that we can uplift everyone everywhere by being the best way to pay and be paid, and we're doing this through making sure that commerce, including the circular economy, is as secure as possible and as trusted as possible, but also by promoting social inclusion and more equity into not just in the workplace but everywhere in society.
I will keep what you said about providing opportunities to information, education and networking to underrepresented groups. Because this combined with the fact that you are in the finance sector and we are talking about the responsibility of business to do things more ethically and differently, I think it's a perfect stepping stone for our next panel, because knowledge and network is the first step, but we also need access to capital in order to empower more women entrepreneurs, make a difference in not just the sustainability space, but in any space they want to be active in, especially technology-enabled spaces. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Stella, and congratulations for what you're doing, because it is through initiatives like this that we also create great awareness. So thank you, and well done for a great day.
Thank you. I will give the floor to Mirto Papathanu.